Wine straight from her slumber, she found herself wrapped up in the protective embrace of her husband's strong arms. Then she heard his voice, rich and soothing, whispered in her ear. Jungkook, good morning, my lady. His fingers traced delicate patterns on her arm, sending shivers down her spine. It didn't take her much to completely drift out of her sleep. Jungkook, did you sleep well? It had been 2 weeks they got married, an arranged marriage that happened after the will of their parents. However, Jungkook had an eye on her for quite some time. He watched her in events and parties, keeping an eye on her from distance, always finding her attractive. He didn't know what it was that he felt for her, and he never proceeded with his feelings as well. Until one day it happened. His mother discussed with him about a wedding proposal, and it was actually her, Vian. He didn't take much time before agreeing to it. Vian blinked her eyes open, meeting his gaze with a soft smile. Vian, yes, you're warm. She whispered the last words. The two were trying. They could even notice each other's efforts being put in the relation. Everything was new. Every touch, every word, every little care. It felt so new and tingly every time it turned butterflies. He didn't say anything, but kept looking down at her with intense eyes, his fingers still tracing patterns on her arm, and she didn't want to get out of the bed just yet. Jungkook, I forgot to tell you last night. Mom is coming to pay a visit. She might stay till dinner. I have some work. I'll try to come back early. Ryan, it's okay. Take your time. I'll keep her company. Jungkook, thank you. As they shared a tender kiss, Vine marveled at the newfound intimacy that came with waking up beside her husband. His touch felt electric, every caress igniting a spark within her. Jungkook continued to explore the uncharted territory of their love, his fingers threading through her hair. Jungkook, can't get enough of you, he confessed, his voice a velvety whisper against her ear. Vine blushed, her heart fluttering with excitement, as she held onto the chain around his neck, her fingers randomly rolling around it. Jungkook, never before I ever wanted to be late for the office. She chuckled and put her hands on his chest, gently pushing him away from her. Ryan, get up. You have office. She hopped out of the bed, and with a playful twirl, she headed towards the wardrobe. Jungkook got down the bed as well, ruffling his hair as he watched with affectionate eyes as Ryan deliberated over the selection of his clothes. Ryan, how about this? She held up a perfectly tailored suit. that highlighted his broad shoulders and lean physique. Jungkook, you should do that daily. He moved closer, the proximity sparking a subtle tension between them. One couldn't help but admire the way the suit accumulated his features. As she helped him into his shirt and adjusted his tie, their fingers brushed, sending a subtle electric charge through the air. Jungkook caught her gaze, his eyes filled with desire, but also love for her. He tugged her hair behind her ear, and his fingers slid down to her chin, holding it between his thumb and index finger. Jungkook, you are beautiful. He traveled down her neck as she did the final touchings and stepped back, eyeing him once for any further need. The two left for dining room and were served with breakfast by the maids, and afterwards Jungkook left to office. Wine started to prepare for his mother's arrival. Later on, his mother arrived and Wine greeted her with respect and welcomed her warmly. His mother, a woman of grace and poise, smiled, but her eyes seemed to scan every corner of the home. As they sat in the living room, the maid served her with drinks per Wine's order. Jungkook's mother wasted no time, steering the conversation toward more traditional matters. Jungkook's mom, I believe the wife's primary duty is to manage the household and, of course, to provide us with grandchildren. Have you thought about starting a family soon? Wine was taken aback for a moment. Suddenly, the shift in atmosphere and the unexpected question surprised her. Yet, she managed to answer with grace. Wine, I understand. Me and Jungkook yet have to plan on that. However, the unease in Wine's heart grew. As the conversation continued, Jungkook's mother insisted on sending all the maids home, permanently firing them while mentioning, "A responsible wife takes care of the home herself. It's good for the family." Wine felt extremely weird as she watched all the maids leaving. She had no problem doing any kind of chores or taking care of her husband, but the home was huge enough to be handled by one person. It needed a lot of people to manage it. It was new for her. She wasn't used to chores, yet she tried her best to not make any complaints before his mother and wait for Jungkook to return. The evening descended and the atmosphere in the home shifted as Wine prepared dinner for Jungkook and his mother. As they gathered around the table, Wine took on the role of the hostess, serving each dish with precision. Jungkook noticed the absence of maids. At first, he thought Wine was serving because she wanted to be respectful towards his mother, but then he realized the home seemed emptier than usual. furrowed his brow in concern. Jungkook, where are the maids? Come sit, they'll do it. Jess, his mother interjected before Wine could respond. Jungkook's mom, oh, I thought it would be best for Wine to manage the house on her own. It builds character and strengthens familial bonds. Jungkook narrowed his eyes and placed his knife back on the table. Jungkook, where are the maids, mom? Jungkook's mom, I fired them. He exhaled and nodded once, asking her to have her dinner and eat well. Jungkook's mother was the one to make most of the conversation between them, mentioning a grandchild, demanding it from her son as well. Jungkook understood why Wine seemed uncomfortable. Once they were done with dinner, and he had made sure that the ladies had eaten well without any further problem, he held Wine's wrist, who got up to make them tea, per his mother's demand. Jungkook, sit down. She did, as he said, and took a seat again. Jungkook, I'm calling back the maids. I'd appreciate it, Mom, if things stay the way they were. Jungkook's mom, I only want what's best for the family. A wife should be capable of handling her responsibilities. She doesn't have a problem. Jungkook, I do. I'd rather have my wife give me time instead of spending it all on house chores. There's no problem in your demands, but I'm a man capable of providing her with luxury. And that's what I plan on doing so. Jungkook's mom, what about the grandchild? Jungkook, we will work on that. I want us to be comfortable enough first. I have planned us a honeymoon trip first. Let us take things on our pace, Mom. I really respect your wishes, but you need to let us some freedom as well. Jungkook's mom, I see. Then you should listen to your husband, if that's what he wants. Jungkook frowned, but Wine gave him a reassuring nod. It didn't settle well with him, but as long as it was ending there, he would manage the rest later. His mom again pressurized them on a grandchild before leaving. Jungkook escorted her out before coming back to attend Wine. He held her hands and placed her on top of the table, standing in between her legs. Jungkook, I'm sorry for everything, she said, Wine. You have a life and complete freedom to make your choices. This is just ridiculous. He caressed her hands, and she could tell he was really embarrassed about everything that happened. Jungkook, it's okay, Jungkook, as long as you don't think like that. She's an elder. Her way of thinking is probably different than ours. There was nothing wrong with house chores or children in Vine's eyes, but as long as it was done with mutual understanding, it was not just forced on her. Vine, Thank you for taking my side and responding to your mother nicely. Jungkook, if something like this happens again, please call me. You don't have to spend such uncomfortable time. She nodded and he kissed her head. Ryan, okay. And what about the honeymoon you were talking about? Jungkook bit his lip and groaned. It was a surprise, which he spilled out of his mad state. Ryan laughed and pinched his cheek. Jungkook, yes, we are going on our honeymoon day after tomorrow. I'll take you shopping tomorrow. Get everything you need or want. He tucked her hair behind her ear and stepped closer to her, his hands going around her waist. As he leaned down and kissed her, they might have kissed before, but every time felt so new and different. She felt goosebumps rise her skin as his hand traveled down her back. The way he kissed her so well, she wondered if he had taken classes in that. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him even closer. Jungkook smirked at her bold move and pulled back to see her swollen lips and messed up state. He loved it. Jungkook, you're beautiful.